My name is VID09071, and this is my strategy demonstration for Dr. Brown's class, SPED 480. This afternoon, we're going to be discussing mathematics and a life skill. It's very important to be able to incorporate both into one lesson. Math, because math is important in our lives, and to incorporate a life skill is also important, especially for our students who are transitioning from school into the civilian population. Today we are going to be making pancakes. It's a pretty simple and easy recipe. It also enables the students to get their hands on measuring utensils and kitchen utensils. On the written component that is added to this program, you will find a worksheet that also enables the students to work on their math skills using measuring cups, half a cup, quarters. Using that worksheet, you're able to do multiple things. You can add fractions, you can subtract fractions. What does 2 cups equal? What does 2 half cups equal? Etc. and etc. Also in the written component, you'll also find a recipe for very simple pancakes. Now, incorporating a cooking skill into a lesson is fun for the kids. It keeps them from sitting there being bored, working on a worksheet, doing pencil and paper work. This enables them to get up, to actually do something, and again, to learn a very important and vital skill. Now, before I begin any cooking lesson, I always go over kitchen safety. Which items are hot? What happens when you burn your hand? What are emergency situations can you encounter when you're working in the kitchen? Knife safety. What do you do and do not do with knives when it comes to kitchen knives? So, encompassing all that would be important for the teacher to go over prior to doing this lesson. Now, for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and skip all that, and we're going to be under the assumption that I've already done all that in my classroom. Now, before we get started, let me just say that I am at my job site, which is at La Semilla Food Center here in Anthony, New Mexico. It is here that we work on building a healthy and self-reliant food system in this Paso del Norte area. To learn more about our organization, you can check out lasemillafoodcenter.org. Check it out, and you'll learn more about our nonprofit organization. We do a lot of great work. So, let's go ahead and get started with our demonstration. Before any cooking demonstration, I always have the kids go over the recipe, and I also ensure that they have all of their materials. That way we're not hunting, shopping around looking for things. So our recipes our supplies are already set up here. Very simple. A box of Bisquick with pancake mix, which also fortunately has a recipe already on the box. Mixing bowl, whisk, spatula, measuring cups. Now, what I like about these measuring cups is the numbers are large. So this helps out any students who have difficulty seeing. There are pretty big numbers that they can see. It's also got a black background. It kind of makes them pop a little bit there so they can see. We also have some fresh, organic, locally produced eggs. Again, nice and big there. And over on this side here, we have our electric griddle, which I'm going to go ahead and turn on now. Put it in a nice, comfortable 300 degrees. Our serving plate, oil or spray pan, and our syrup. Now, on the recipe or on the recipe list, there's the instructions on how to prepare. I personally enjoy putting them on a whiteboard, a smart board, on a chalkboard. That way you can follow each step one by one and check off anything that, as you complete the recipe, you can check off and get those things done. So we're going to step right over here and go ahead and get started and make some delicious pancakes. So our box of Bisquick here, the original recipe calls for 2 cups of original Bisquick mix, 1 cup of milk, and 2 eggs. This makes 14 pancakes. Now, when talking to your students, this is a great opportunity to say, we don't need to make 14 pancakes right now. There's only 2 of us, myself and my esteemed colleague, cameraman here. So we're going to reduce it and make half. So this would be a good opportunity to go over your halves. It's also easier to do mathematically. You can get into a little bit more technical things like doing quarters and thirds and etc. at a later time, but for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and just cut everything in half. So if the recipe is calling for 2 cups of original Bisquick mix and we're going to do half, that would be 1 cup. I come over here to search for my cup, measuring cup, and as you can see here, 1 cup. One cup of Bisquick mix into the mixing bowl. Place here. Our next part of the recipe calls for 1 cup of milk. I do not have milk at this time, so we're just going to go ahead and use water. Works just the same. One cup of milk, since we're cutting it in half, it will be half a cup. The next part of our recipe calls for 2 eggs. Again, since we're doing half, we're only going to use 1 egg. And I'll pick the biggest egg just to make it look better. Once all ingredients are in the bowl, we go ahead and start mixing it up. So we're going to take our whisk out and start mixing away. As I'm mixing this would be a great opportunity for me to say that if you can get some kind of help in whenever you do any kind of cooking activity, that would be great help. I also like to divide my students into groups of 4 or 5, depending on the number of students in the class. I will split them up into groups and try to pick recipes that will enable everybody to participate in some shape or form. I even break down recipes into steps. One student can pour the flour into the bowl, another student can put the egg, another student can, mix it up all together, etc., etc. Just depends on the kind of time you have and the kind of help you have. Hopefully you're able to get somebody to help you out, just to have an extra set of knives to make sure that everybody's participating, everybody gets an opportunity to do something. And if you're ever doing a cooking exercise with knives or something dangerous, it would be important to have somebody extra there with you to just keep an eye on things, okay? Something came in here that we're going to take out. Alright, awesome. You can see we're human. Alright, so as you can see here, our mix looks pretty good. Excellent. So we're going to place this over here on this side. Okay. Now, since our mix is great, we're going to go ahead and look at the recipe one more time. Now it's saying that we should pour slightly less than 1/4 cupfuls onto hot greased griddle. I'm going to go ahead and use the 1/4 cup just to go ahead and pour this. Now, to break that down in half is again another mathematical monstrosity. So we're just going to go ahead and use 1/4 cupful. Now back over here on this section, I have my griddle already preheated. Is at this time that you should decide, well, beforehand you should decide, is there going to be a teacher running the griddle? Should you have a student, a good student, run the griddle? Depending on the attitude that the children have, or the students have, I'm sorry, or the teacher, they need to decide which is best. I personally like to use a student. It gives them an opportunity to be more hands-on with stuff. Again, once you go over kitchen safety, to make sure that they understand that this is 300 degrees right now and it is very, very hot. So that's up to you. So we're going to go ahead and get our pan spray here. Shake it up a little bit. Spray our griddle. Get our mix here. As you can see, I've already filled up our 1/4 cup. Just let it drip a little bit to get some the fall. And then we pour. One of the advantages of using a griddle like this is actually they're fairly cheap. I purchased this one for $20. You can do pancakes, you can warm up tortillas, you can do all kinds of pretty cool things with this little simple griddle. And if you pour these correctly, you can actually make up to 6 pancakes at a time. So it also cuts back on the amount of cooking time, because you're obviously going to have some hungry students who are ready to eat right away. So in this way that you put 6 at a time, you're able to churn them out. Now anytime you do a cooking exercise, I feel it's important to let the kids know that you wish you had a lot of money and you're able to feed them a stack of pancakes, 10 feet tall. But unfortunately, because of financial situations some teachers have, schools don't have money or the resources. It's important to let them know that this is more for the activity portion of it, for them to study, to learn, than to actually eat. This is like the bonus part of the whole lesson, is to actually sit there and eat. I'm going to get a spatula before these things burn. As you can see, I flipped them a little bit prematurely, but that's fine. I would hate for you to sit here and wait for these things to cook, and for you to actually sit here and watch me enjoy these delicious pancakes. So that's pretty much it, folks. Check it out. Check out the written component if you want to learn any more lessons. And remember, I highly suggest, again, that you just kind of break everything down step by step by step, and you'll have a good time. It's fun. It's easy. You're able to, teach math, and you're able to teach a living skill all at one time. And the kids love it. Oh my gosh, they really love to cook and they love to eat. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully this is good for you, Dr. Brown. And it was a pleasure having you teach this class. It was pretty awesome. So thanks again, and have a good afternoon.